Hey everyone, welcome back. Today, we're taking a deep dive into some really cool stuff, the art of persuasion.
Yeah, it's fascinating how people can use language to get us to think a certain way or even do things we might not have otherwise.
Totally. We're cracking open a chapter here, literally titled Persuasive Language.
Huh.
Like, what tricks can people use with words to really get to us?
Right. It's like they're trying to plant ideas in our heads and we don't even realize it sometimes.
So this deep dive, we'll look at those tricks, like how do they even work?
Exactly. And maybe even how to spot them when someone is trying to use them on us.
Ooh, that's a good one. Like, be our own persuasion detectives.
Exactly. So this chapter, it jumps right into how powerful emotions can be in persuasion.
Oh yeah. I mean, have you ever heard a story and it just completely changes how you see something?
All the time. It's like suddenly you feel differently about things because of a well-told story.
Or even like those ads with the super cute puppies.
Oh, yeah, those get me every time. They know how to play on our emotions. You just want to cuddle those puppies, and then bam, you're buying whatever they're selling.
It's sneaky but effective, right? They're
Yeah,
making you feel good, and then you connect that feeling with their product.
exactly. They're not just trying to sell you something, they're trying to sell you a feeling.
So it's like tapping into our emotions to get us hooked.
But it's not all just tugging at the heartstrings. This chapter also talks about appealing to our logical side, our brains.
Right. Like facts and evidence and stuff.
Exactly. It's about making sure there's a strong logical foundation to whatever argument is being made.
Like if someone's trying to persuade you, they need to back up their claims with solid proof.
It can't just be, oh, this is good because I said so. There needs to be evidence, data, and a well reasoned argument.
So it's like a 1-2 punch. You got to win over both the heart and the mind.
That's a great way to put it. And, to make that logic even more convincing, this chapter points out how important it is to be believable, to have that credibility.
Right. Like if some random person on the street is trying to tell me something, I'm probably not going to believe him as much as
Yeah.
an expert. Right.
Totally. If you want people to buy into what you're saying, you need to show them why they should trust you.
Like having those credentials and showing you know what you're talking about.
That's right. It's about building trust with your audience. Maybe citing credible sources, backing up your statements with real world examples, and demonstrating expertise in your field.
So it's kind of like the more reliable the source, the more we're likely to believe the message.
And this chapter delves into something I find particularly interesting: storytelling.
Oh, yeah, stories. I love a good story.
But it's not just about entertainment. They're incredibly powerful tools for persuasion. Think about it. A well told story can completely change your perspective or inspire you to take action.
Oh, totally. I remember reading this story once about a group of students who, like, started this whole movement to fight climate change in their town. It was so inspiring.
Exactly. Stories have this unique way of connecting with us on an emotional level. They make us feel something, and that can be way more powerful than just hearing a bunch of facts.
Right, like you feel like you're right there with them, experiencing it firsthand.
And those shared experiences can really stick with us and shape how we see the world.
So we've got emotional appeals, logic, credibility, and storytelling. What else?
Well, the chapter also mentions these things called rhetorical tools, which honestly sound kind of complicated.
Rhetorical tools. I think I sort of know what that means.
They're like stylistic techniques that can make language more impactful.
Oh, okay, like using certain words or phrases that make people pay attention. Or like metaphors and similes and stuff.
Exactly. They're ways to add flair and emphasis to your words, make them more memorable.
Oh, like Martin Luther King Jr.'s I Have a Dream speech.
Yes, perfect example. He repeats, I have a dream over and over again, and it just drives home his message so powerfully.
That repetition, it just sticks with you.
Exactly. Rhetorical tools can take an ordinary message and turn it into something that resonates deeply with the audience.
So we've got all these tools: emotional appeals, logic, credibility, stories, and fancy rhetorical tricks. But how do we actually get people to do something?
Ah, that's where the call to action comes in.
The call to action.
It's where you tell your audience exactly what you want them to do, like buy this product, donate to this cause, or sign this petition. It's that clear instruction that guides them towards taking a specific action.
So it's like, hey, I've convinced you. Now here's what you can do about it.
Exactly. A good call to action can be the difference between someone just nodding along and actually taking that next step.
And if you don't tell them what to do, they might just walk away and forget all about it.
Exactly. And another crucial element which often gets overlooked is audience adaptation.
Audience adaptation. What's that all about?
It means understanding that different people respond to different approaches. What works for one group might not work for another. So you have to tailor your message to your specific audience.
So it's like you wouldn't use the same language to persuade a group of scientists as you would to persuade a group of artists.
Exactly. It's about knowing your audience, their values, their interests, their concerns. The more you understand them, the better you can connect with them on a personal level.
So it's like you're speaking their language,
Yeah.
both literally and figuratively.
And that can make all the difference in whether or not your message truly resonates.
So we've uncovered quite the toolbox for persuasion. Emotional appeals, logical reasoning, establishing credibility, crafting compelling stories, using rhetorical devices, having a clear call to action, and adapting your message to your audience. It's amazing how these elements work together to shape opinions and influence decisions.
It really is. And the cool thing is, understanding these techniques can empower us in so many ways.
Yeah, it's like you were saying at the beginning, we can become persuasion detectives, spotting these tactics in action and understanding how they're being used to influence us.
Exactly. And not only that, we can also become more persuasive ourselves using these techniques to communicate more effectively and advocate for the things we believe in.
It's like having this secret weapon. We can see through the smoke and mirrors and understand how language is being used to shape our perceptions.
Exactly. And as we navigate the world around us with all its messages and attempts to persuade us, we can use this knowledge to make informed decisions and not just blindly follow along.
So next time you see an ad, hear a speech, or even have a conversation where someone's trying to convince you of something, remember this deep dive. Think about those tools, the emotional appeals, the logic, the storytelling. Are they using them effectively? Are they credible? Are they tailoring their message to you?
And most importantly, are you letting yourself be persuaded? Or are you thinking critically about the messages you're receiving? It's all about being aware and being in control.
Absolutely. Keep those persuasion detective skills sharp and don't let anyone pull the wool over your eyes. And that brings us to the end of our deep dive today. But the conversation doesn't have to stop here. Think about the ways you've been persuaded in the past. What techniques were used? How did they make you feel? And how did you react? It's an ongoing journey of learning and understanding, and by being more aware, we can become more savvy navigators of the persuasive world around us. So keep exploring, keep questioning, and as always, thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
Thanks for having me.